Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Thor 4 Love and Thunder video all about Loki. There's a bunch of video of Tom Hiddleston explaining where Loki fits into all this, where Thor Love and Thunder sort of intersects with the Loki series, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the Loki episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. We're doing a Disney Plus giveaway for memberships too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know what other kind of Thor Easter eggs you want to see during the Loki series. We've already seen a couple Thor Easter eggs that I talk about during my episode videos, so I'll post links for those down in the description. There will be more Thor Easter eggs throughout the future episodes too, because a lot of the Loki series plays on the Thor movies because they're jumping through time. So they're parodying a lot of moments from the Avengers films, from the Thor films. So that's why there's so many Thor Easter eggs. But Tom Hiddleston was just talking about what's going on between the events of Thor Love and Thunder and what's going on with Thor in present day in general while this new Loki, the variant Loki, is going around on missions with the Time Variance Authority, in what their relationship is like what this new Loki's relationship is like with this version of Thor, the main version of Thor. So this is the clip of him talking about that.
Thor is like, that's the thing. What I love about this universe is like Thor and Loki started together and they've been like, they ran on parallel tracks for a while. And now they're kind of on different tracks, but they're still aware of each other. That's the thing. They're sort of both Thor and Loki that, you know, they exist in the minds of each, you know. It's interesting to think about, like even doing this series, I would email Chris and because it was impossible not to kind of carry him in mind because he's been on this journey with me, but he's got his own new family in Love and Thunder, and I'm pretty sure Thor's got his own challenges now, different challenges.
So what he means when he says that his variant Loki and Thor are on different tracks now, but they're still aware of each other and they still think about each other, and that Thor has his new family now, Loki has his own new family, is obviously that one, Loki during the series at a certain point does eventually learn what's happened with the rest of the events of Avengers Endgame. Like during his trial with Judge Renslayer at the beginning of episode 1, he knew that the Avengers had time traveled back into the past to seal the Infinity Stones, not because anyone told him, but as we learned through his conversation, because he sensed the future versions were there in the moment, like he detected Tony Stark's stench, the Axe body spray joke that they made during Endgame. But the thing is this Loki doesn't know about anything that happened after that moment because he portaled out with the Tesseract and then was immediately arrested by the TVA, and you're seeing him in this moment right here. So if you think about his life unfolding in a linear fashion, the Avengers are still probably in the middle of their big final battle with Thanos right now, technically. So he wouldn't find out about the final battle with Thanos and Thor going off with the Guardians of the Galaxy till a little bit later, but because the TVA has complete files on the lives of everyone in existence, everyone who's ever lived or ever will live, that's how he would learn about most of what's happened. Most of what you see him doing here, reading through all these files with Mobius, is mostly specific to the Loki variants that they're hunting down, like the very dangerous Loki that we believe to be female Loki or Lady Loki, however you want to think about her. That's just the strongest theory about who they're technically trying to chase down now, the most dangerous version. I think that's a big misdirect, and we'll learn more about that in the next couple of episodes. But the TVA would also have a file on Thor, the main version of Thor, 616 Thor, however you want to think about him, that Loki could read while this is going on, and that's how he finds out what happens to him, and how he knows what's going on with him during the events of Thor Love and Thunder. And because of the way they're jumping around in the timeline backwards and forwards, the events of Loki kind of overlap with the events of Thor 4, but if you really want to get technical about it, the way that Marvel talks about it, the actors, the producers, Kevin Feige, the events of the Loki series are meant to create these big ripples in the multiverse and the timeline that affect all the Marvel movies that are coming after, so it's meant to set up Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. They also confirmed that it's going to have some influence on the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home, just because of all the implied multiverse elements in that movie, or Spider-Verse, because we're talking about Spider-Man characters. And Thor Love and Thunder is meant to take place after the events of Doctor Strange 2, so technically the events of the Loki series kind of take place before the events of Thor Love and Thunder. It's easy to get twisted around when you talk about where this Loki is right now in the timeline, when he's inside the Timekeeper Citadel. When he's in the Citadel here, because it was created in the distant future, technically he is in the distant future, but really it exists in a pocket dimension outside of the normal, the sacred timeline, and they're jumping backwards and forwards inside the main timeline in these alternate timelines. So some of the series takes place before, during, and some of it after the events of Thor Love and Thunder. And when he says that Thor is aware of Loki right now, he didn't give away any big spoilers as to how Thor finds out about this new Loki variant, but it sounds like between the ending of the Loki series, Loki Season 2, and the end of Thor Love and Thunder, at some point, Thor just gains a deeper understanding of the multiverse and understands how even though his Loki died and isn't coming back, there is a Loki who's very much like him and still out there who's alive, with the idea that they'll eventually have some awkward run-in. In the way Taika Waititi talked about it, he started discussing the idea of doing a Thor 5 movie, if you can believe it, after Love and Thunder, just to say that he was open to the idea, but he's got so many other movies that he's working on, so many other TV series, that if they did Thor 5, it wouldn't happen till like way after Avengers 5, which is already a long ways off in the future. But that's why Chris Hemsworth said a long time ago that Thor Love and Thunder was not the end of his Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he was excited to continue playing Thor. Tom Hiddleston also kind of said the same thing too. He said he'd be happy to be playing Loki in another 10 years. But you probably saw a lot of people talking about Loki inside Thor Love and Thunder this past week because there were some comments that Tom Hiddleston made that implied that he wasn't a big character in the film, and people just took that to mean that he wasn't in the movie at all. This is actually what Tom Hiddleston said about it. He said that we talked about the Thor movies as a family saga, the Odin Son saga, in the diametric opposition between Thor and Loki and duality and antagonism being a book that perhaps should remain closed for the moment. We have explored about as much as we can about these two brothers. What he means when he says that is that he and Chris Hemsworth just felt like they'd done so many Thor versus Loki stories about their relationship as brothers that they were just taking a break on it for a hot minute in Thor Love and Thunder. That doesn't mean the movie won't reference Loki at all. It just means that he's not a main character like he's been in the Thor movies up to this point. And while they were working on Thor Love and Thunder, Tom Hiddleston was mostly focused on developing his new variant version of Loki in the Loki series. But once that's done, the next time they do have a Thor Loki story, they just have a completely different story to tell. Like, it wouldn't be so much about them being brothers, it'd be a completely different dynamic. And as for Chris Hemsworth actually cameoing on the Loki series, I have a feeling it's going to be a Benedict Cumberbatch WandaVision situation where they probably talked about it, but because of all the virus lockdowns and travel restrictions, it sounds like Chris Hemsworth probably did not film any new scenes for the Loki series.
The answer is you suck. And I look forward to you sucking again in season 2. And I look forward to collecting some more trophies.
But they've already had several Thor Easter eggs. There'll be more Thor Easter eggs in future episodes. So just a similar situation with Benedict Cumberbatch's deleted scenes from the WandaVision series. The funny thing about that too is that all the Benedict Cumberbatch WandaVision deleted scenes are also what connected to the Loki series because of all the Nexus talk, all the commercials, the Nexus stuff. Doctor Strange was meant to show up as part of that arc during WandaVision. In all the Nexus talk, Scarlet Witch is a Nexus, all the talk of Nexus events on the Loki series is what binds that to Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. So you're starting to see how all these things are connected in Marvel Phase 4 now. When Tom Hiddleston was talking about Thor's new family that he's got in Thor Love and Thunder, obviously he was referring to the Guardians of the Galaxy, or the Asgardians of the Galaxy. Chris Hemsworth actually just posted this new picture of them from the set a couple days ago just to celebrate Chris Evans' birthday. A lot of you were asking what this necklace Chris Pratt's Star-Lord is wearing. It looks like something that belonged to Yondu, because the whole idea here is that he's wearing Yondu's jacket in the movie, but he's modified it with those metal pieces, the shoulder plates and the gauntlets. The design seems a little bit like it's inspired by Ego the Living Planet's costume. Like this new upgraded costume, all the stuff that he's wearing is him just showing his character development, how he's dealt with the trauma over the death of his surrogate father, Yondu, but also his real father, Ego the Living Planet. So he's literally and metaphorically carrying bits of them forward with him. Tom Hiddleston was also hyping up some of the other cameo scenes, the big cameo scenes in the Loki series. He wouldn't give away his favorite that he was most excited for, but I believe that he was probably talking about Richard E. Grant's scenes. There was a report early on that he was supposed to be playing a version of what they were calling classic Loki, like he was an alternate version of Loki that was much older, but the version that he was playing was a much more evil version of the character and a much more old school looking version of the classic comic book character. Like the Loki costume with his giant horns. A lot of you are also asking about that devil reference too, because the director obviously confirmed that it was not meant to be a Mephisto reference. It was more of a reference to Loki, or the variant Loki that gave the little boy the gum, because when they said, "Who gave you the gum?" he pointed to the picture of the devil. And if you notice, the little boy's tongue was blue, the tongue of the devil was also blue, so it was just meant to be a reference to this variant Loki that they're chasing down, who we believe to be is Lady Loki. But you also notice the picture of the devil has the giant horns coming out of his head. That's meant to be a reference to Loki's horns. Tom Hiddleston did say that the series would explain why Loki wears the helmets with the horns on them. They kind of made a joke about this with Matt Damon's Loki when he was talking about them building a statue of him with his giant horns. And outside that theater in Asgard, Thor sees that they actually did build a statue of Loki with really big horns. Tom Hiddleston did talk about Matt Damon as Loki. He just said that it was just surreal and completely weird, and he was totally cool with it. Like, he walked onto set one day in Thor Ragnarok, and he was standing there, and it was like looking in a funhouse mirror, but he was also pleasantly surprised with what they did with the Matt Damon version of Loki during Thor Love and Thunder, because they're bringing him back to do another fake play, but this time the fake play is parodying the events of Thor Ragnarok in the way that Thor Ragnarok's play parodied the events of the previous movie, which was Thor to the Dark World. But really big stuff coming up this week. My full Loki Episode 2 video will post Wednesday. I just did a video about the big Avengers Secret Wars teaser in Loki in the Doctor Strange 2 teaser and references, so I'll also add a link for that at the end of this and down in the description. And we'll probably get that big Thor Love and Thunder trailer before the end of the year. Congratulations, Bunder Choud, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here for that Loki Secret Wars teaser and Kang the Conqueror explained, and click here for my full Loki Episode 1 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.